He's Rick Tyler.
And he's Dan Cashman.
And I'm Chris Keegan from Hound Coffee Co. And I'm on the Ric and Dan Show.
In Maine, we often hear,
"You can't get there from here."
These are the stories of the risk takers,
The trailblazers.
those who turn obstacles
Into opportunities every day and found their way.
to get there from here.
And today,
There on the Ric and Dan Show.
we're not sure if the city of Brewer should issue you a citation or a commendation for the wafting coffee aroma that goes around the city. But you hear a lot about it, don't you?
You know, I find people wandering in the building. And, you know, we've got a lot of things going on in this building now that we're at over in Brewer. To have people just wander through the building can get security issued with one of the other companies that we have in there. But yeah, we get it. We get it.
True, you can smell it from the police station.
From the police station is what I heard recently. I know that Milton Cat dealership, they got people that walk out after spending, $750,000 on a Skidda, and they drive down to the building and they're looking for the coffee. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Growing up in Old Town, we used to be able to smell the mill, and they'd sell. They said that's the smell of money. But I think you're showing that the smell of money can actually smell pretty good.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, we
As opposed to the potato processing in Presque Isle.
yeah, I keep forgetting now. The potato service. Wow. Yeah, it's like driving through Rumford, half of the time, but it's been good. I mean, we have enjoyed where we're at because it's so central. The shipping is easy in, easy out. But we do like bringing that smell around. And matter of fact, we're probably in the best place we can be in, because if we moved anywhere, we have to come up with ordinances. We get a whole bunch of people jumping up and down. And
so for people unaware of your business and the location, we're talking a lot about Brewer, but tell us a little bit about exactly where you're located.
Let me just do a little history for you guys.
Sure. Is this going to be on the quiz?
Yeah, well, we used to quiz our employees.
I'm going to take notes then. Number one.
So we started in Bar Harbor in 2013, the summer of 2013. We got the idea, found the location on Main Street in Bar Harbor, which never came up, and we made a rapid move. We actually launched our business plan, put together the shop, built it out, and launched in 3.5 weeks.
Wow. That is light.
You must have been jacked on caffeine to do that.
My goodness.
None of the machines were up until the day we opened. No, we got them all situated.
But sidebar, Your Honor, that time it was all like, we're just going to do bricks and mortar. Was that the whole idea?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the whole idea was let's see if I can make something happen. Mm-hmm. There was no long-term thought process at all at that point. It was like, I'm done with Aroostook County, Presque Isle. I had opened a shop there, had a really bad relationship with my business partner that ended very abruptly. Matter of fact, Wednesday of the week that we decided to open a coffee shop in Bar Harbor. So Wednesday, everything went away. The old Marston's building in Presque Isle,
Yeah.
Okay. So that was a historical cards and books and whatever for years and years and years.
That's where you went to get your copy of the New York Times.
Right, exactly. And we remodeled that whole building into apartments upstairs and then a coffee shop and then a hair salon. Yes. I know.
I see the hair salon thing worked out well for you.
Yeah, it worked out really well. Yeah, it's thinning all drastically. And so that whole relationship kind of went away on a Wednesday, and I took a nap, and I woke up on Thursday and got a text message that said, hey, this place is available. I'm like, what am I going to do? I just lost everything on Wednesday. And so I called the guy and said, hey, can I come down on Monday or Tuesday to see the building? And the guy said, well, no, I'll do something else by Monday. And I was like, well, I'll see you tonight. It's not a woe is me thing, but I had very little in the bank and only a couple bucks in my pocket and 3/4 of a tank of gas. And it sounds like a Blues Brothers. And unfortunately, no cigarettes at that point in time, but got in the car that afternoon. I was down there by 7 p.m. and said, hey, this is what we want to do. And I want this place. And it was 530 square feet of luxury accommodation
in the middle of Bar Harbor.
In downtown Bar Harbor. And I said, you know what, this will work. And Jen and I, my better half, We took No Offense Friday. Have you ever heard of these?
No.
Have you ever heard of these?
I heard them as Zero F's Friday, to be honest with you.
Oh, yeah. I've heard of that. Okay.
So No Offense Friday came, and we wrote a 14-page business plan. We launched an LLC. We wrote a deposit check on the rent. Didn't know where that was coming from. Don't tell the guy.
Statute of limitations up, right?
We did a menu. We got a line on what we wanted to do. I called all of the previous vendors that I had before and said, hey, look, I've broken away and I'm doing my own thing. And I went to a parking lot in Northeast Harbor, and I was staring at a cabin on a little island that has a dock that runs to the main house. And if you kind of understand where I'm talking about, I was doing it for inspiration, trying to talk into what was going to come from this little coffee shop on Main Street. And I literally had a friend of mine pull in and go, what are you doing? And I said, I'm trying to talk something into existence. And he goes, what do you mean? I said, I'm trying to, here's a 14-page business plan of what I want to do in Main Street.
Your friend just showed up?
Just showed up, driving by while I'm staring at this place, trying to talk us into
You were still living in Presque Isle.
I was living in Presque Isle at the time.
So this rando friend happened upon you in Northeast Harbor.
In Northeast Harbor.
Wow.
And he goes, what are you doing? And I handed him a 14-page business plan. He goes, thanks, man, and drove away. And I'm like, all right, well, I got to go make another copy of that, right? And called me 3 hours later and said, I'll have a check for you Monday. He funded it. And he goes, come on over. What do you need? And so I said, I need XYZ. He wrote me a check for it. Quiet business partner. I was the best bank in the world for anybody at that point in time, because I was like, okay, well, we'll structure it this way. And he's like, great. And so we went that way. It probably hurt me in the long run, but it's all good. And when we opened, we hired 2 kids from Ireland that were walking down the street that were J1 students for somebody else. And they were like, we really like your vibe. I'm like, well, I like your accent, so you're hired. And then we hired another couple, which was horrible because you hired 2 couples, and then they're going to want the same days off and all that stuff. And I had no idea how business was going to go.
That wasn't in the business plan.
It wasn't in the business plan, but we had 2 weeks worth of money in the bank. 2 weeks. With everything that we bought, we put on the shelves, and then we had 2 weeks worth of money.
What time of year was this?
May.
Okay, so at least the season seemed to be right because you knew the tourists were coming.
I had a feeling. We opened 3.5 weeks into it, June into May. The first lady walking up the hill, we got our new sign out. And of course, you're always proud of a new sign.
Sure.
Right? Like, this sign says everything, and it's going to bring everybody in. Yeah. And the lady looks in the door and goes, the hell are you doing there? I'm like, I knit sweaters. And she goes, I don't want a freaking sweater. And off she went up the hill with her walker. And
you could have caught up with her probably.
I probably
she has a walker. She probably wasn't going too fast. Wait, man, let me explain.
And so the next 2 guys through the door were from Denmark. And they were like, do you do coffee? And I was like, we sure do. And so we made coffee with them, and we ended up drinking as much coffee as they were, because we were having it together as our first customers.
The woman with the walker must have been hard of smelling.
There was no roasting at that point. You could have smelled it, but it's a long hallway. Our stuff was way down the hall, and she's just like, what do you do here? You know,
was the name of the business the same back then? Was it Coffee Hound?
Coffee Hound Coffee Bar.
Okay.
And
she didn't know coffee was in the title twice.
Twice. Got to remind them.
First and middle name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
And bar would have given you the idea that maybe something was being served here.
Yeah. And she thought you made sweaters based on your...
Because I yelled back, I knit sweaters.
Yeah. Well.
What a jerk, huh?
Hey, she knows what she wants, though.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, she
didn't know what she was missing.
What was really cool is I had a gentleman come in June 7th. We had been open for 3-4 days. And he's like, hey, what's going on? And he's got this beautiful camera. And one of my backstories, I was behind the lens a lot as a kid. Like, my creativity is behind the lens, and I still dabble with that. And the guy comes walking in, and he's got this beautiful camera. Like, remember, my whole life has completely changed now. Like, I have nothing, and I'm trying to build something. And my dad started me in photography when I was like 6. And the joy for me, a few years ago, I bought him a Nikon F that he had bought coming back from Vietnam, from Japan. And it was a professional camera back then. And I looked at it and I'm like, hey, what camera are you shooting? He's like, oh, I'm shooting a Nikon D3 or D2 or whatever. And I'm like, oh, that's really cool. I said, I started on Nikon when I was a kid. And we started talking about that. And so we got him his coffee and talking with him. And he's like, well, how long you guys been open? I said, oh, we've been open 3 days. He goes, really? He leaves. And he comes back and he said, hey, what's your story? And so I went through my somewhat of a story. And then because you don't have a story 3 days in, right?
Right.
Day 5, Boston Globe, coffee done right in Bar Harbor.
Wow.
He was a journalist for the Globe.
That's incredible.
And he came in and took a couple photos and talked to me about our story and about how we got open in 3.5 weeks and that we're really starting out. And day 7 we were premiered at the Boston Globe, and the next thing you know, there was a line out the door. Was
the little old lady in a walker one of them?
No, I don't think I ever saw her again. I think she fell going across the
Good riddance.
street. Yeah.
Can we take a step back even before you were bricks and mortar and before you were back in the Star City, the 101st?
Oh.
How did you get from, were you jumping out of planes?
I have. I love it.
How did you get from jumping out of perfectly good airplanes, by the way? I mean,
I was a dope on a rope as well. Jumping out of helicopters on a string. Yeah. The 9-line, which is a thing that you see in apparel and stuff. So the funny story is how I really got into coffee was in the military. Yes, military coffee is horrible. It's mud. It's whatever. Mm-hmm. I was stationed in Egypt, and I was part of the MFO, which is the Multinational Force of Observers. The 101st did our rotation.
Is it like Tom Cruise in the IMF?
Sure. So part of NATO, and what we did at the MFO was we watched Israel for Egypt, and we watched Egypt for Israel. So we kind of watched the Gaza Strait. You guys have heard of the Sharm el-Sheikh, where the car bombing went off a couple years ago. Mm-hmm. That actually is a dignitary compound that leaders from around the world meet in Sharm el-Sheikh. And so we guarded Sharm el-Sheikh. We basically watched outposts of the Tron Islands and the Red Sea, and we watched the shipping lanes, and to make sure that there was nothing going on, piracy and stuff like that. While I was there, there was a contingency of the Fijians, the Colombians, contingency of the Italian Navy. And so me being the little French kid, Irish kid from Aroostook County, I'm enthralled with Italy. I love the culture. I love the food, the whole thing of it. I love the culture of coffee. And this is where I really first started learning about it. But I got to know the head chef on the Italian Navy frigate. His name was Danilo. And we became really close friends during my 6-month deployment. Towards the end of the deployment, the Secretary of Defense was coming to Nama Bay, to our South Camp, to visit, to see the American soldiers and whatever. He was doing a tour. A few years before that, I had graduated high school, and the Secretary of Defense at that point in time was the keynote speaker at my high school graduation, who didn't let me off the stage without giving him a hug. The only person to give him a hug during that time, because I used to play baseball with his son, who unfortunately passed during a baseball game, being hit by lightning. So anyway, he's coming, and my friend Danilo is like, what are you doing tonight? I'm like, nothing. And he's like, I need you to barista for me because my barista is on holiday. Yes, the Italian Navy has a position called barista. All they do is make coffee. That's it. They make sure there's enough coffee, and they make coffee.
Recruitment for the U.S. Navy would be so much greater if we had a similar position.
I probably wouldn't have been in the Army if I would have known about that, right? Yeah. So I ended up saying sure, and I was deathly afraid of espresso machines. I thought they were all going to blow up. You turn them on, they start whistling.
Like a pressure cooker, aren't
right?
They?
It's a huge pressure cooker. I did 235 shots of espresso in 2 hours.
Huh? Just you alone? I mean,
I was just me. And it was.
Oh, you made them. I thought you consumed them.
No.
I'm sorry. That could explain your passion.
Yeah.
No, but my passion came from watching what it was doing. You make an espresso, you give it to the guy, thank you very much, and away they go, and they turn and they have community. They come together, they talk. And this could be the general from the MFO, the the admiral from the Italian Navy that don't talk ever together, but now they're combined. Jen does this beautiful talk, and it's called The History of the World Through Coffee Houses. But one of the things that I added to her talk was, the U.S. Constitution.
I've seen a copy.
Okay.
Part of it.
It was written at Café Le Procope in France, a coffee shop. Benjamin Franklin wouldn't take his mail at his house that he was renting. His sister sent all of his mail to Café Le Procope. So the U.S. Constitution was written at a coffee shop.
That explains that little coffee ring down at the bottom.
It does, doesn't it? Right? Yeah. And then you look at first dates, you look at divorces, you look at wars were fought over a coffee table, never a shot fired, yet the whole negotiation part. So coffee brings people together. So I was watching this and I was just like, man, I'm going to go home and I'm going to make myself a coffee shop, and I'm going to have a little stage and have people strum music on it and do all of that. I enjoyed my military experience. I probably should have stayed in. I broke my back in 3 places and I had to get out. So, it's all good.
This podcast is about business owners overcoming obstacles, and it sounds like you've had a great deal of them, including the broken back, including not knowing what you were doing on a Thursday after losing everything on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
When you did open up the shop in Bar Harbor, what sort of obstacles did you overcome in that 3.5 week span?
Permits. The facility that we were renting was a ticket office. It didn't even have a bathroom in it.
Wow.
And so we had to run water and drainage and get a bathroom up and running.
In 3.5 weeks?
3.5 weeks.
Where do you find the plumber?
Or did you do it yourself?
No, I didn't do it myself. No, everything was coded and everything was taken care of. We didn't have to do a public restroom.
Right.
Because we were only 8 seats and it was a takeout.
Yeah.
So we got that taken care of first. Like, we don't have to do this part.
Yeah.
So I didn't have to spend 20 grand on this and do this and do this. But to run the plumbing, to get a dish sink in and to get those certified, we had a plumbing company that worked for the landlord, and they just so happened to have a Wednesday, the second week, open for the day. And I said, this is what I need. And they're like, this is what it's going to cost. And I said, okay. And I have to cut back on this, or I have to cut back on that. And so we were just fortunate. And a lot of the build out was my dad drove down from Presque Isle, and he's a Finnish craftsman, and he and I built everything out. And luckily, since everything I hated about being a kid of a carpenter and learning how to do that I don't ever want to do in my life has always been something that I could go back to and make enough money to carry on.
Did your dad ever look at you and say, son, are you sure?
No.
He just said, go
forward. Always was that way with me. Doing a venture like this isn't something that only happens once. It's not like you're not already in your head, like, I've got to do this, I've got to do this, I've got to do this. You are an example of that, Danny. I mean, you created a talk show because you couldn't get onto a circuit anywhere. The 0.001% are all making the money, all doing all of that. But you did the same thing. You built something from scratch. You spent 20 years doing that.
Yeah.
20 years doing that. And of course, you had good times and bad times. Obstacles to overcome.
No worse times than the viewers had, I should say.
No. Without sounding like I'm fanning out, you have had a natural ability to be funny.
Thank you.
You have. And there are times that I've watched your show, and a week later, before the next showing or next airing, I was still chuckling about 2 of the jokes. So the number of jokes that you have to put out, but yeah.
Thank you for saying that, because I don't hear that side of things very often. But I also, one of the things that I've been told, and it feels like it's a question I can lob at you, is that so often people don't get to the point of creating something because they throw their hands up and say, it's too much, I can't do it. Did you ever get to that point and then talk yourself out of it in that 3.5 week window?
No. So I think I'm built a little differently. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs are built differently. No isn't a deterrent. No is, now I learned how to not do that and how to get the yes. And I learned how to parry and move forward, because any of those challenges that make you do that, are only superseded by the blessings that you get from succeeding on the next step.
Mm-hmm. I think that there are people who are very quick to say, can't do it. And then there are people.
Oh, they run away.
Well, they'll run away. They'll throw their hands up. But then some people will pivot to how do I get to the point I want to get to, or somewhere close enough, like in horseshoes. If I'm close enough, I still get the point.
Yeah. That and hand grenades.
And drive-in movies.
Yeah. I'm familiar with 2 of those 3.
It all depends on how you spin the story to your fellow sophomores back at high school.
Yeah, sure.
I like the way that you're doing Maine without doing, hey, we're Maine, Norumbega.
Yeah.
Not everybody knows Norumbega.
Nope.
But if you're a true Mainer, you know Norumbega.
You know, Bangor was considered Norumbega for a long time.
Right? Before the whole Sunbury fiasco.
Yeah.
Norumbega. Yeah. Here's another one. Everyone knows Baxter. Mm-hmm. Baxter. Not everyone knows Golden Road.
That's right.
You do Golden Road.
Sure. It's our Aroostook County homage.
Yeah. You do Maine without doing Maine.
So Maine is probably one of the top 3 or 4 marketable states. Maine is, man, it's such a diamond in the rough. It really is not polished. I mean, we have a product in the state of Maine that actually rivals caviar, and nobody markets it the right way. Lobster. It's Maine's caviar.
I think we're doing the same thing with blueberries.
Sure. And blueberries, that's another market that really needs some direction. It needs some major kick and direction. You know, for the longest time, everybody knew Canadian lobster, but they didn't know Maine lobster. Yep. Well, 99% of the Canadian lobster was farmed in Maine and shipped to the processing centers that were basically run out of Maine. And they would ship them to Canada. And then, of course, Canada stamps on the box, product of Canada. Yep. Right? So it's important for us to make sure that everybody that comes to you and says, I was in Maine when I was 17 and I loved it. Oh, my gosh. I can't wait to get back. Or we go back every Friday, or my family has a house in Maine and we long to be there. Well, I want that person to have really good coffee that has a Maine-esque connection and take it home and share it with their friends, because they can share Maine, small quality company. They can share Maine with their friends from away.
It's a portable communal experience. Yeah. Maine is portable.
Absolutely. It is. We have a really good friend in a very similar industry. He's making Maine portable. He's putting it in a box and he's sending it to you. And you're having the red hot dog affair, which some people are like, whoa, no red hot dogs, which is a huge thing right at the moment. And that's fine. But Humpty Dumpty potato chips, our beans, the whoopie pies. That's another Maine staple.
Moxie is.
Moxie is, it's a here or there. I love it, but I grew up on it. My great grandfather always had it. So.
Hot take. I just think it tastes like soda. I don't find the bitter aftertaste. I don't. Yeah, I had it and I thought, it tastes like a soda.
You've never used it to flush out the carburetor in your lawnmower?
No, I did. But I usually drank it after that. So maybe that's why.
Yeah. Maine is a distinct area from the people that will give you their car when you get your car stuck in a snowbank and let you take it home and then get mad at you for filling the tank when you bring it back. You know, I mean, I was on the Parsons Road, Dad's car in the ditch, and the lady goes, oh, your grandfather was so great to me. Just take the truck. It still had temp tags on it. And I just went in a ditch. How are you doing this, right? And so Dad's like, well, whose truck is that? I'm like, oh, that's Mrs. So-and-so's. The car's in the ditch. And he's like, well, let's go get it. And so out we went. We got the car, pull it out of the ditch, return the truck full of gas, and she yelled at me for half an hour. And I'm like, why? And she's like, well, your grandparents, what you don't know is that your grandparents let me live at their house for 3 months because my dad was deployed and my mother had to go take care of her father in Nebraska. And they just openly let her live with them at the house. And so she was going to do anything. And then, of course, didn't have a job, and the parents were out of town for a month or so. And my grandfather was like, come work. And so off she went, and she ended up working at his drive-in restaurant for years.
I want to ask about making the leap of faith from bricks and mortar to doing what you're doing now. Oh. Was it tough to let that go?
No. So going from bricks and mortar to producing for the bricks and mortar is actually a normal step coffee shop owners do. They build 3 or 4 shops, and then buying from a producer is very costly. Like, it gets to the point where it can be like, wow, there's just a lot. Also, that producer that you're buying from is not shy about making sure that they know that your shop sells their stuff. And they'll let you put your label on it, but they're going to wrap their stuff all over that label. So what we tried to do was we wanted to reduce our overhead. So building the roastery and learning and getting to know how to roast the coffee the way that we do, it allowed us to reduce our overhead. So we now produced for our shops instead of paying somebody else to do it and then bringing that in. So our cost lines kind of went down a little bit. So we could buy in bulk green and then produce and then sell. That was kind of a natural step. A lot of people will either be a roaster and then they'll open 4 or 5 places to support their brand as they're building it. We also do a lot of white label branding.
For those that don't know,
you have a company and you sell a product and the people love coming to you. Well, we want you to be the star of your own show. And so Coffee Hound always wanted to promote you because we never were promoted when we did it with other people. We were second tier. Yeah, they sell it at a Coffee Hound, but you can go to any store and buy it. Right. Well, how is your loyal customer knowing, well, okay, fine, I'll go there and buy it. Right. But you want that loyal customer back. So when we do a white label brand for somebody, it really is to make them the star of the show and to make them be seen or be recognized. And it could be a thank you bag. It can be, and it can be from entry level sticker on a bag to a fully printed product that is going on people's retail shelves, and not only yours, but other people's that are buying it in. So that's really kind of that leap. So we wanted to produce for ourselves. We also wanted to reduce our cost overhead, so that we can make better margin, right? I don't think anybody in business or anybody that buys product or is in business is going to say, well, you can't make margin. Well, why am I not allowed to make margin if, the store down the street sells a $15 cheeseburger that costs 40 cents to make? There's just going to be that aspect. So that was kind of our thing. We wanted to get into that, and we really had to resource another challenge, right? I'm going to roast a coffee product. I've roasted, but I haven't roasted or chosen flavor lines, and how do you roast those and manipulate them so they still come out tasting good and not just coming out with an acidic burn in the back of your throat. If you notice, most of our coffees, if you've had it, doesn't have that acidic burn to it, because that comes from the way that we roast, the consistency that we roast, and also the beans that we're blending to roast. So the flavor notes can actually come out in that aspect. That was the jump.
Because to me, that would be another scary leap.
Oh, it's a huge leap.
But a scary one.
If you don't leap, the net won't catch you.
Never thought about it that way.
I mean,
this from a guy who's leaping for 20 years.
Yeah.
I say seriously.
There was no net. I just kept leaping.
Well, and if there wasn't a net, you were bouncing off the tree branch to go to the next one, just like I am.
Fantasyland doesn't have nets.
You asked me about the challenges, like any challenges ever make me throw my hands up.
Yeah.
It comes from, boy, how do you say it without it sounding really, but I know that's something that you're going to understand, Danny and Rick as well. Before the military, I was blessed with the ability to have a 7.5-year ski vacation, snowboarding vacation. People paid me to do it. And I did it as best I could, but I always had a drive to win the event or to train to be better. There was a passion to be the next thing, I guess, and so I've always had that strive, be it with the snowboarding. And I mean, that goes from Aroostook County, Big Rock, and taking 10 kids and being able to travel them all over the United States and have them compete at World Cup level. Like, how does that come out of Big Rock? But it's also, I had enjoyed time before that in trying to figure out how to be a professional athlete. And so that comes from with baseball. I did have an offer from a single A team in Tennessee when I was in the military. They had open tryouts. So I was like, I want to go play baseball. So I went down and I tried out, and the guy was like, we'd love you to be our third baseman. I'm like, I'm not going to make $2 more with no security. than being in the military. So I was like, no, I already made a commitment to the military. So I went that way instead. I was snowboarding before that. And of course I went into the military older. I needed a job, lost some contracts and whatever, and then went after to the military and enjoyed it, man. Whew, it was nothing like jumping out of a helicopter, nothing like jumping out of an airplane and doing really cool things.
We thought it was the MREs that urged you to try to figure out there's got to be something better than this. There's got to be something better than instant coffee in an MRE.
Instant coffee mixed with your sugar creamer packet.
Yep.
Yeah, no. No.
Desalinated water.
Yeah. Well, yeah. In a tank sitting on the edge of a field. No. Coffee was, it's just a connection point. It really was. I love the stories of people, coming in and talking. I loved being able to be with people. Have you ever seen Sally's Pizza?
Oh, yeah.
The guy who's like, oh, where are you from? I'm from Moscow. Oh, just down the street, and stuff like that. That was me at the coffee shop. Like, where are you from? Oh, I'm from Pennsylvania. Oh, no kidding. I used to live in Philly. Really? Where? We had a Hostess tasty cake down at the end of the street, and we had a cheesesteak place at the other end of the street. I was 4. But I would hang out with the guy at the pizza shop and the hoagie shop. And then, I wanted a tasty cake. So I go down to the parking lot and the old guys would give me fresh tasty cakes out of the back of the thing. I'm 4 years old.
So that person that might be listening who is at the beginning of their what's next and is ready to throw their hands up, what do you tell them?
Don't throw your hands up. Keep going. There's a saying that I love and I use it a lot. And people that are going to listen to this that know me are going to be like, when's it going to drop the line? In the end, everything will be all right. If it's not all right, it's not the end. That's my whole thing on that. COVID was a challenge. We lost our shop. We went from doing XYZ in the summer and a small bit in the winter because of our locations at Sunday River. We've got 2 coffee hounds there now. There's a coffee hound still in Bar Harbor, and those are partners with us. Mm-hmm. And luckily they do an amazing job. They follow our menu. They use our product. They get to use our name. We had over 650 5-star reviews, a number of smaller ones, but a very, very small amount of 1-stars. But that's all people that are pissed off on vacation and feel like they really wanted to spend money anyway. To lose the shops and not know what we were doing, it took 13 months to get back to our first year numbers, just being a roastery and roasting and going to business and going business to customer in wholesale and retail. We had to start all over. Like, the web was not cast. There was no net. The net was gone. They pulled up stakes and moved the net. I had to go out and convince everybody that we had a quality product to put on the shelf at $2 more than anybody else.
Well, hasn't Starbucks paved the way for people to pay a really high price for a cup of coffee?
Wow, you're going to go this way.
I'm curious about it.
Starbucks has done a great job with teaching people how to use words in the coffee industry. Not realize the reality of what those words are. I went into a place and I said, can I get a macchiato? And the guy goes, yeah, absolutely. I'm like, macchiato is a double shot of espresso and a dollop of milk. It means stained with milk, kissed with milk. And he goes, well, what size do you want? I want a double shot of espresso and a dollop of foam. That's all I want. That's what a macchiato is. He goes, well, do you want it 12, 24, 16? What size do you want? So they use the word, and the public knows the word. They don't realize what that is. And we had to overcome that at the shop, too, when people come in like, oh, I want a macchiato. Great. Wait a second. And you look at them and you go, okay, you've got white socks up around the knees, wearing Birkenstocks, patent leather belt. Do you want a Starbucks version? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, okay, we don't do that. That is a this. And they're like, oh, what is a macchiato? I'm like, it's a double shot of espresso and 3 little dollops of foam. And they're like, well, that's not what I get when I'm like, I understand. So we had to differentiate with that and really kind of help educate a little bit more in that aspect.
The way someone educated me on this issue was to say, do you realize how much you're paying for extra syllables?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I can see that. Sure.
That was the way that they put it. And it took me a second to wrap my mind around it, but I realized that, and oddly, people will I want to ask about the UMaine thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's great, isn't it? That's cool.
Did that come to you or did you go to that?
So that one came. Do you know the whole story behind me and UMaine?
No, I don't.
So
are you secretly Bananas the bear?
No. I'm not in a fraternity.
Tap a keg of cold brew?
You know we do that, right?
Yeah.
We make it in the keg. We sell it in the keg. Yeah, we sell a lot of that in the keg. The original aspect of UMaine is my grandfather. My grandfather played 4 years of baseball at UMaine. He got a telegram his freshman year. The first game was at BC. The guy stepped off the train and broke his ankle. And they sent a telegram back to my grandfather to the school and get Keegan on a train, have him down here. So he ended up playing 4 years of varsity baseball for UMaine. And so I have a huge kind of connection with that. He also played 4 years of basketball, starting basketball at UMaine as well, and 1 year of football. But he was 5'10", and the tree trunks that were wrapped around him in the picture, I was like, holy crap. He's like, I was a punter. So the historical aspect of it, the Disneyland aspect of it comes down to this. My grandfather had played in the 36 Olympics, baseball.
Wow.
From the University of Maine. In 1935, he got invited to Baltimore, Maryland to try out for the team, but didn't have the money. So the town of Mars Hill actually put all the money in, got him a train ticket and money enough to spend 20 cents a day at a boarding house while he was there and food, and went down and made the U.S. Olympic team by hitting a triple in the last inning for the Olympic team to win the game against the American All-Stars. All the same guys that were invited to the tryouts, but one was an Olympic team, one was an American All-Star team.
Yeah.
So he declined. He said, I can't afford to go to the Olympics because it was all amateur athletics and you had to pay your own way. The town of Mars Hill got behind him again, and they paid for his entire trip over. But he was graduating in 1937 from the University of Maine. So I have a really cool picture, and I'll send it to you if you want it, of him running past first base in his Maine uniform. And it was at the tryouts. It actually ended up front page of the Boston Globe as well. And so my connection is I have a very deep-rooted connection for University of Maine, a love for the University of Maine. Sean Walsh was close. I was close with Sean Walsh. So I actually used to skate with the team with Stephen Tupper and Greg Hurst and all those great guys from the team, Garth Snow and all that stuff. Matter of fact, Paul Correa. Yeah. I didn't really skate when he was there. It was more the year before. Once the Correa boys got there was no public skate go on with anybody. But they used to play a blue-white game in Presque Isle at the arena there. So I got to know them. And of course, I had Sean over to Sugarloaf a number of times to a restaurant that I worked at, paid for his meal and just whatever. And he was just gracious with me. So there was more connection there. And I always wanted something to do with the University of Maine. I had a meeting with somebody, and it was a random meeting. I met in the grocery store. Yeah. Of course, I'm shy. I don't like to talk to people. I'm not bold. I will not go about doing anything. And the guy said, oh my God, he goes, if I would have known the University of Maine has a commitment for local business. And if I would have known this before, I would have probably tried to have signed you so that your name would have been on the boards. But they had signed a deal with a national company and whatever. And they obviously are going to make more money with that than they are going to have with me. And that's fine. I'm like, But the mantra was that going to have something with UMaine, going to have something with UMaine. And then Ursa came in the hotel. Yep. Well, they went with a local roaster and I missed it by a week. So like I'm like missing this stuff. And I'm like, what am I going to do? Then we started coming out with our ready-to-drink product. We started hearing about the new way that University of Maine is doing their partnerships. It's through an alliance. It's through a branding alliance. It's outside of the school isn't directly in line with it. Well, they're in line with it, but they're not. It's not like you're going and meeting the head of marketing and creating a relationship. It's not like you're going to the head of sports and creating a relationship. Those are different avenues. But this company sat down with us and they said, hey, are you interested? And we're like, absolutely. But we think it needs to be ready to drink because it's only a huge market and it's a little bit more sellable. It's quicker. Kids are going to drink it faster and they're going to buy another one. And of course, we had a challenge come up. And so we went back to them. We're like, well, let's do a bag to keep the place and So we got a couple different places we can do on campus. We sell a lot to the parents of people. We also sell a lot to the people that used to go to school but don't go to school anymore, but they want to support and they love the Maine brand. And so we're Maine, but we're Maine. So we're a Maine company that's a partnership with UMaine. So we're the official licensed coffee partner with the University of Maine.
You got to reel in the freshmen because those are the ones that are going to be needing to drink more and more coffee Hound to stay awake.
We've been looking at aligning when the ready to drink comes back out. They have an online store now that the kids can buy stuff from and the robots bring it to the thing. I'm trying to get Coffee Hound on the side of all the robots because that gets not only the freshmen, that gets everything. And matter of fact, it was funny. We were at that meeting and this kid came in and goes, oh my God, can I try your coffee? I was like, yeah, sure. Here you go. Had it on tap and we were doing nitro coffees. And he goes, wait a minute. I met you when I was a freshman. I'm like, you did? And he goes, yeah, you guys came up and you presented at the entrepreneur thing. And this kid is graduating and it's his third year in owning his CNC machine company. Get that. He was a freshman. He presented his idea for the CNC milling machine and started it his sophomore year.
And
he has no worries walking out because he's the president of his company. And he's got 4 of his friends that were involved in the engineering program with him that he has as employees.
Good Lord.
Right? So that kid did not only jumping and waiting for the net to appear, but he's casting his fleece.
When I graduated, I was just concerned about how I was going to pay all the parking tickets to get my actual diploma.
The parking tickets?
I had to take out a small loan for that.
Let's hear that story.
Nope.
Did you have like a parking spot that you said Danny Cashman should be able to park here?
I was very lazy. I was very lazy back then, and I just wanted to park next to the building I was going into, and apparently that's not allowed all the time.
Where did your drive come from?
We ask the questions, Chris.
No, but what clicked in your head that said Maine needs its own night talk show?
I wanted to do it. I loved David Letterman. I loved Johnny Carson. I loved Conan. And when I was a freshman at UMaine, I presented this idea because I had an opportunity in front of the general manager of a small TV station. And he said, sure, let's do it. And I said, all right. And then from there, it was just sort of this drive. It went away for a while. It came back in 2010, and it was similar. Somebody convinced me to have a conversation about it, and it turns out people were interested in doing it. So I said, I'd love to try this again.
Sidebar question for both of you. Ready? Danny, at one point in time, you said it went away.
Yeah.
What brought it back? Did you bring it back, or did someone bring it back for you?
Someone brought it back to my head. And then we had a conversation and I said, I'll only bring it back if we can do it with these 3 things. It was a TV station that people would watch it on, a place with a room for an audience, and a production crew that would do it right.
So someone believed in you, someone believed in your product and brought it back to you.
Yeah, you could say that.
Chris, was there ever a time when it went away from you, but either you brought it back to yourself or someone brought it back to you because they believed in you and they believed in your product?
Not in this current iteration. No.
I just like using big words like iteration.
Yeah, I like that.
Great word.
I like that.
Great word.
Did you read that earlier and say I have to work that into the...
It's one of those, use it 9 times a day for 9 days and it's yours forever.
Okay.
But anyway.
Okay. Not during this iteration though. We're still focused. We're still pushing
because
forward.
Most people, if they lost everything on a Wednesday, they'd be still sitting at home curled up on the couch in the fetal position, not doing anything Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Something got you to where you are.
Was it the opportunity for the storefront?
I had to create that opportunity.
But you learned of the storefront becoming available. And was that the driving factor that you needed, that this space in Bar Harbor is available? It almost never happens. Let's jump on it and figure it out.
I was mad that I lost everything on Wednesday.
Yeah.
That I was forced to make a decision after creating so much and that I wasn't done, but I was done. Like I couldn't continue on with that drive line, but I knew that I wasn't done. Like I hadn't achieved anything. Like I had gotten it to a starting point, and that's where that ended.
Well, this goes back to the phrase that you said to us.
Right. In the end, everything will be all right. If it's not all right, it's not the end. So I hadn't really even got my steam going, but I had such a thought process.
Why isn't that on your bag? I mean, I like the explore, the
Wander, explore, caffeinate.
Wander, explore, caffeinate. I like that, but I wonder about maybe it needs to be. Or is that too personal?
It's too personal.
Yeah,
it doesn't resonate with every person that is going to look at it. But a lot of people like to wander. They like to explore, and they just caffeinate while they're doing it.
What's the genesis of the name?
Coffee. Oh, I'm going to tell you 2 versions, and you can only use the first one.
So maybe we'll stop recording after the first one.
All right. So the Coffee Hound, right?
Yeah.
So Jen and I, when we first got together, we got to travel quite a bit. Mm-hmm. And, with her boss that she had before she was the Directory of Fisheries for the Island Institute, she worked for Dr. Herman Haller, who's the president of the MDIBL. And so she actually would travel to Germany quite a bit. And at the end of the summers, because Dr. Haller was the leading nephrologist in the world, he would come to Bar Harbor, be here for the whole summer.
Dan, remind me after this to look up what a nephrologist is.
Yeah, okay, kidney. He was the leading scientist, both researcher and doctor for kidney disease.
You knew that, didn't you?
No. You didn't? Okay. No. So I like to use big words. Nephrology. I used it 9 times one day, and I now I own it.
So I'm still trying to figure out iteration.
We used to travel quite a bit, and so very blessed in that aspect. And so the story that we tell everybody is that we are coffee hounds. We would hound out the best coffee from around the world. To tell you the real version, I'd have to kill you if I told you.
This interview is over. Thanks for listening to the Ric and Dan Show.
And Rick, thanks for that complimentary Pop-Tart.
If you like what you heard, we don't suppose you'd click that subscribe button, would you?
And maybe leave us a review on your favorite listening platform.
5 stars are our favorite.
And next time you hear someone say,
"You can't get there from here,"
you tell them to listen to the Ric and Dan Show.